Hi, welcome IDS-410. Welcome to the September 1st start of the session. My name is Michael Fair. You can call me Professor Fair, Mr. Fair, whatever you want to work with. I broadcasting here on Sunday, August 31st from Phoenix, Arizona. Lovely Phoenix at this time of the year. If you don't know, then good for you. At least it's gotten under 110. So how are you? I am going to put a few of these videos out. I don't know if they'll be every week. They may be for a while. I hope you get a chance and you're viewing it and you'll view it to completion, especially the first few. I'm not too redundant on the written announcement or the video, so these are all separate things. I try not to repeat myself too much. I can't tell if this is foggy or blurry. No, it looks fine. Ah, yes, the joy of getting older. Please read my announcement I posted a couple weeks ago about my instructor, your instructor, about me, so you can get some kind of background info on me. I won't repeat myself here. I just want to talk about this course. Thanks for taking it. It's a 400 level course. It's like a capstone course. It's up there because you know 100 freshman, 200 sophomore, 300 third year, 400 usually last year of college, and then 500, 5, 6 and up is grad school. Just you can look this up. The data says that on a 3-credit college course, university course, you should invest about 120 hours into it to be successful. And that doesn't matter if it's a 15-week session or a 7-week session or 8-week session. So you can do the math. It's about 15 to 17 hours a week in our situation. I know everybody's busy. I know everybody's got jobs. I'm just trying to give you that idea that I'm looking, definitely I practice academic integrity, academic ethics, and such, but I'm not a taskmaster. Many of you are non-traditional students, if not all of you. I was that same thing. As I tell the high school students I teach, I took 34 gap years. Okay, I went to college at 52. But look it up. I do have experience in this type of teaching this kind of topic. I find it to be very invigorating, fresh, and always something new and different. I'm not an expert in every particular subject or problem, but I know how to research them, I believe, in terms of, I always yawn once a video. Anyways, what you're going to be looking at here is you're going to try to describe a social issue, some kind of problem for social change, right? It's the name of the course. But I want to emphasize this as much as I could emphasize anything. The only way you're successful in this course is if you do like the bumper sticker says. You can think globally, but you're going to act locally, okay? All right? So I'll give you an example. I had a student last year who chose the problem to solve as the Israel-Gaza war conflict. Call it what you will. You can't do that, okay? As I explained to the student, can't solve the Israel-Gaza conflict, okay? That's like a thought experiment in ideological thinking. It's like, I don't know about you, if you're not a Packers fan, I don't know why not, or Liverpool. As I sit and watch a football game or something and I sit on my chair, you've seen that meme with Leo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where he's kind of pointing, And it's kind of like what we do from our sofa and our chair is like, hey, now that coach is crazy. Why didn't he put in Smith and take out Jones? We're all great at armchair quarterbacking. So when we think about what's going on in other parts of the world or the big pictures, we discuss it with our friends. We talk about our ideals and things, and that's great. But to solve problems, the second word of our class is the biggest one. Problem solving for social change. It's not problem analysis, it's not problem discussion, it's problem solving for social change. Why in the world would you want to take on the Israel-Gaza conflict? You wouldn't. But I know we all have a tendency to think bigger. We think big is great. Big is better. Not here. Smaller is better. Very small is really good. You'd be surprised. So I endeavor to give you like a paradigm shift. Not to give you total whiplash, but to have you think in different terms. Okay? So, for example, the student that wanted to solve the Israel-Gaza, they came up with we're going to do inflatable piers, and the U.S. Navy's going to bring in supplies from the West, and then we're going to do airdrops of pallets of food, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. Do you think no one's talked about this with the UN, with everything? Let's just stay out of that until you work your way up. If you were coming to Professor Fayer's flight school, I wouldn't be saying, oh, great, I'm glad you arrived. You sign this paper, we'll get you in that 747 and take off for Bali. You'd be like, are you insane? Yeah, I'd have to be, right? Because you don't want to fly a jumbo jet on your first flight lesson. You don't want to problem solve the world's giant issues on your early problem solving experience, right? Let's crawl before we can walk and run and jog and such, okay? So in that sense, coming up with small is good. And I'll give you an example what I told this student. Instead of that solving the Israel-Gaza conflict, why don't you go into your city, she was in a big city, go to a mosque, go to a temple, talk to the rabbi, talk to the imam, see if they have any interfaith events going on, see if you can get them to talk to each other. Now that is intimidating, right? I mean, anybody can talk about solving Israel-Gaza, 30,000 people dead and whatever, because we're outside of it. We hold it out like a dirty diaper. I can look at it and talk about it, but I'm not getting my feet dirty. Well, what if you go to a mosque, go to a temple, get the people together, people who might have been knocking hijabs off somebody's head, people who have been, knocking, what is it called, a yarmulke or whatever, off somebody's head. Sensitive issues. But this is how we problem solve at a ground level, okay? There's other examples I have. One person worked in administration in a high school, like a counselor or something, noted that the year before, one of the faculty members who was the leader of the LGBTQ club in the school had left. The club kind of disbanded. And that advisor noticed there was a little bit of anxiety over that. Now, this may not be the thing to say nowadays. I don't care, okay? But what that student offers, is it okay if I developed a way to get that club together? I said, yeah, absolutely. And they came up with the most excellent project, showed me pictures of it, got that club going again, and developed it, problem solving for social change, okay? So if you're thinking about solving homelessness, I had somebody want to solve homelessness globally. Okay, it's just breathtaking. Solving homelessness, the unhoused, nationally? No. Solving it in your state? No. Solving it in your city? Maybe. Okay, solving it in your neighborhood? Yes, let's get there. Because then we have to talk about who's going to drive them, how you're going to do this, how you do that, logistics. If you're going to have a community meeting, I'm going to want to know how much you're going to spend on red Solo cups, who you're going to get your donuts from, and your coffee. Let's think this through so that we're not just doing an exercise in ideological and idealism. We're actually thinking about it. And my experience, for example, is I used to volunteer extensively for about 4 years in the recently resettled refugee community here in Phoenix. Yes, the refugees would come from all over the world, and I have proof of the world right there. and they'd come all over, and I would mentor families. I mentored a family from Eritrea in East Africa. There was like 5 kids and 2 parents in a 2-bedroom. We had some great times. I got together with some Iraqi interpreters who helped our service people as translators and such, then we were able to move over here. I helped them, take them places. We did things, and South Sudanese, a lot of people in different communities, Cubans, people from, like where the Himalayas are. Why am I losing my mind here? But so then I began giving, I volunteered to do orientation to Phoenix, Yes, they get orientation from their refugee camp before they leave, whether it's Kakum in Kenya or other countries. They get immersed intensely into U.S. culture and stuff. But when they get to specific cities, Phoenix is much different than Minneapolis, which is different than Kansas City, which is different than Seattle. So I gave them Phoenix orientation. Then we talked about job interview skills. We talked about using technology. Okay, I volunteered to do this, and not for pats on the back. I really love doing it. I'm into culture and art and things, but to me, I didn't solve the refugee crisis in the globe. I was able to help citizens adapt, new people adapt to life here in the United States, in Phoenix, Arizona, to make them contributing members of society, because isn't that a problem-solving issue, right? So I do have experience doing those things, and I can relate, but it's at a ground level. So when my eldest son, for example, texted me, "Dad, why haven't you posted anything about Gaza and Israel, blah, blah, blah." It was like 2 years ago, after it started. And I'm like, well, I'm not a keyboard warrior because you posted a lot of stuff, but then you guys locked your accounts. So what's the point? I don't do that, keyboard warrior. And I said, just remember, 15 years ago when I was driving way out to the west side 2-3 times a week to work with that family. So he kind of understood then, right? Those millennials. Am I right? I'm sorry. Just kidding. Anyways, so that's one thing I want to impress on this video. When you choose your topic, your problem, I'm going to help you all. I'm available for phone calls, meetings, okay? I'm available to help guide you. I'm available for this stuff. But I want to emphasize, get away right now from, solving veterans issues. You want to solve veterans issues? Bring it down to your local VA, what the challenges are being faced from the unhomed veterans, okay? Because we're not going to solve the unsolvable at this time, whether that's immigration, abortion, Second Amendment, all have different polarizing views. That's not a place for one undergrad student to solve, right? And problem solving is what we're doing, okay? Literacy issues. I had a student set up one of those free library nooks on the corner, okay? One person wanted to solve sustainability, organic farming. I don't know if there was a problem with organic farming, but I'm like, no. But I said, okay, in Kansas City where you're at, go find a plot of land that looks like it could be used, because your agriculture, for a community garden. Find out who you can get that use from for a community garden. Find out if there's a community center, you can have people come and teach them how to do organic farming. Get your community. That's a solution for food deserts, for if you want to teach some kind of organic farming or just kind of self-sufficiency. There's ways to take whatever big problem you're seeing and bring it down to a local level. That's going to be really important. Of course, I want you to read all the material, because there's a lot in here, obviously, I'm not talking about. Remember, what research is and is not is really important, okay? Research at this level. We can all research our trip to Europe, research our new car. We use that term and it's fine. But when it comes to research that builds those research buildings on university campus, it's not for self-enrichment research, okay? It is for adding a teaspoon of new knowledge to the ocean of knowledge in that field. It's always adding, what research does, and it keeps building over years, okay? So if you look at and research what it is and what it is not, research is not in newspapers, it's not on blogs, it's not in anything that ends in pedia. What I want you to do is use the library on, is it the Shapiro or Sheridan? I always forget. SNHU library, and you search under your topic, which you'd like, and you filter it for peer-reviewed, full text online. Now you've got it, because peer-reviewed literature and journals and things, that has to be balanced out. Because what does .com mean? Did you say commercial? Yes. .com is commercial. That means what? Revenue. Revenue means bias, selling something. What's .org? Organization. Even organizations have bias, okay, without the advertising. You get into the EDUs though, or the research papers and journals, now you're talking about as pure research as you can get, where researchers are open and they're looking at, I'm willing to be proved wrong. I want to be proved by, they're not going in with an agenda so much. And we'll get all into that, but I want those to be important takeaways to you as you move on into real life, right? And look at our society and the problems we face and how we can fix things, right? In a way that's realistic and has widespread ramifications that you can scale up, all right? I want to emphasize that set up a call with me anytime just to say hi. I guarantee you, I always like to challenge myself. I have something about me that resonates with you. I guarantee it. Single parent, that was me. Going to college later in life, that was me. Okay? Were you in business? That was me. Law enforcement, that was me. Filmmaker, writer, author, artist, that was me. Okay? I got you covered in so many ways. So whatever you got resonates with me, and I'm excited to hear about your ideas. And we're going to jump into this and get going. I'll be saying hello to everybody in the first discussion board. But again, you're free to set up a call with me. Just shoot me an email, okay? So I will say 16 minutes. Peace.